Hi, and welcome to KirbKast. This is the 4th episode, and today with me in the studio I have Kaelin Ellis. Kaelin, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty good, man. I can't complain. How about yourself, man?
Dude, I'm just glad you're in the studio.
Swag.
Alright, so for people who don't know who Kaelin Ellis is, or KE is the big logo, Kaelin is a big-time producer in today's music, and especially expressing the new type of music today. Is that correct?
Oh yeah. The weird side of music now, if you want to call it that.
What is the type of name for your type of music? Does it even have one yet?
Man, I want to go as far as saying like experimental and electronic, but at this particular moment, I'm just in between different genres, and it's so weird. I really can't explain the genres for it. It's just like, if I could best describe it, music that has a certain element of mood and feeling to it. So,
all right, well, it's quite a statement. I know I'm getting pretty into it. Like, it's just this really, like, right off the bat, it's strange and weird, but it's experimental, and it's really neat.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying it, and I just got into it.
Thanks, man.
All right, so for people out there, you have been producing for how long?
Technically, I've been producing for about a good 10 years.
10 years.
10 years since I was like, I started when I was around like 5 years old. I remember my dad hooked me up with an old program called MTV Music Generator, and that program had every sound. And like on the Windows computers, they had it where you can like hit the different sounds across all the keypads, and like it was multiple sounds, drums, vocal samples, you name it. And I just stayed on it for hours, and that's just kind of how I got my start for that.
It glued you in there right there, huh?
Yeah, it was weird because I was more into the whole sports thing, but it was like, let's try something new,
And then here you are, and you're just like, well, okay, I'm actually pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So your dad, was he a big music junkie as well? Or?
Oh yeah, he before I got started in the music thing, he was in the music business with his brother. He came up with it was a group he started, and he didn't really get off to a big lift with it, but it was a group called SWAS, and it was him, it was his brother, and I'm guessing it was probably a few other people, and he pretty much wrote songs. Like he was like in a Journey, he was in a AC/DC, Led Zeppelin.
Titles.
Oh yeah, he used to listen to a whole bunch of different type of rock music, and
he's got good taste.
Oh yeah, he's and Freddie Mercury was one big influence from him too. So yeah,
hey, Freddie, pretty good guy.
Oh
Love
yeah,
his stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I guess you could say that your musical interest came from your pop then.
Yeah, it's a little. It's weird to explain it because like my dad kind of introduced me to all the different types of music, but like overall, like on my dad's side of my family, everybody has like some sort of musical talent. Like my grandmother.
Oh really?
Yeah. My grandmother was on a old gospel record label. They had like Full of Legends. It was like Savoy Malico Records, where it had like all the original top gospel artists of over the past like 30, 40 years. My grandmother was a part of that before her throat went out, and she eventually became a evangelist. She's a pastor now, as well as my great granddad. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's like sounds really adventurous. Like that's pretty neat.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like I talk with them every so often. They're always like they'll show like rare flashes like when they were young and stuff. Like my dad would hit a crazy high note. Like where did that come from?
All right.
Yeah.
Dope, dude. So basically, everybody in the family has got some music in them, right?
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man.
Pretty much half of my family have music with them. Either they can play the piano or sing. That's usually where it is in my fam. And the other ones, just like you said, all about sports.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, dude. So, your dad got you hooked on music, and immediately were you into the rock crowd like he was too, or
I was
where was
more
your favors
into
at?
Well, it kind of switched up Because at the very beginning, I remember I used to listen to when I was little, I used to play a lot of video games, and on Dreamcast, there's NBA 2K1, I believe, and at the very beginning of it, I think it was a Redman instrumental. I can't think of the name of it right now, but they played the same track over and over again. It was just this catchy guitar melody and the drums, and it was no other track except for that one track throughout the whole game. So
really?
Yeah.
Just one Redman track.
One Redman track. You leave it on the menu for like hours. It was the same loop playing.
But I know, like sports games today, they have like a broad list of just multiple different genres and artists. And you're telling me that game only just had one song?
Yeah, like Dreamcast, NBA 2K1. If you went to the main menu, because before they had all the crazy looking options where you can like choose to create your player and all that. I mean, they had that back then too. But
right.
When you could like go to the menu, it would play the one song over and over again. I think it was an endless loop, dude. So.
Wow. How long of a loop? Like we talking like 5 seconds or like a 3 minutes?
It was, I would say, probably a good minute and 5 seconds, and it would loop for an hour and a half. They don't stop.
I wonder how they went on Redman about that. They're like, "Hey, we heard your stuff is fire. If you could just make us one little catchy song, just for the menu, that'd be awesome." Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's how it went.
Yeah, it was. And from what I know, is the actual track. If people have probably ran into it. They took it from an old like French 70s movie, and like it was the original like dun 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 dun. If I could find the name of it, I would legit like play it as my ringtone. Like it was that catchy. I still think about it every day too. So.
Something tells me you'll be on the internet tonight looking it up.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, cool. So, I guess speaking of that type of artist, who do you, and your genre right after that is just it's a whole nother level. But who are your artists that you take in favor for? You know, who's your favorites?
My favorites at the moment, or like
at the time, at the moment. I mean, I know it can change all the time.
Yeah.
Who do you want to share?
Man, I've collaborated with a few guys that I listen to a lot, and like they've one guy is Kazal Organism. He's kind of like taught me the whole thing with how like chord structures and pretty much basing your experiences that you kind of like go through within life, put that within music, and been learning that from Kazal. He's like a brother to me, but I've never met the guy before. Cause I talk with him as much as I can. You know?
So you guys collaborate all the time, but you don't even know what the dude looks like.
I know what he looks like a little bit through Facebook pictures. You know,
right?
I've Skyped with him multiple times, collaborated with him, but never met.
Never face to face.
Never face to face. Yeah.
How much stuff is out there from you and him together?
I remember we collaborated on a few tracks that are on my SoundCloud. One, The Sons of the Father, he attributed on. We both collaborated on that one, and it was that track. We actually had a couple tracks that we're gonna, because we're working on an EP right now for release, probably coming out later on this year, depending on the circumstances. But yeah, we work all the time. It's kind of like I send him stuff, he sometimes send me stuff. It's kind of like a back and forth thing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is he the same type and style as you, or did you warp from him?
It's weird because like we kind of like went through this phase where like his sound was evolving and my sound was kind of evolving, and like we would like trade methods of how to like create certain types of tracks, and like how you get this type of sound, or like how you get this to make it sound like this. And it's kind of like a weird discovery process working with him, and it's crazy, man.
You're slowly just finding out what you can do from what he's rubbing off, huh?
Yeah. It's like a little bit of him rubbing off of me, I'm rubbing off of him. We're kind of just back and forth,
just bouncing off each other. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Neat. Well, I do know that on your SoundCloud, you got a bit of content that is pretty entertaining. I like it. I'll be sure to share that in the description for it so people can check it out.
Faux shizzle.
So I guess a big question is, where are you from?
Where am I from? I am from I'm from a small town in Florida called Lakeland, Florida, but majority of my family is from a smaller place than that, Plant City, you know.
Plant City.
Plant City. Literally.
P-L-A-N-T and then city?
City. Yeah, Plant City, Florida.
That's a name. Is there, I guess I should ask, is there a lot of plants there?
Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, the Strawberry Festival.
Oh.
Yeah, they had...
That sounds yummy.
Yeah, they had, what was it? I remember it was a few years back. I didn't go with my family, but I heard it was Billy Ray Cyrus and a few other country people. I think Rascal Flatts was out there as well, too.
No way.
Yeah. They go out there every so often to the Strawberry Festival.
So they get decent titles.
Yeah,
that's good. I enjoy festivals, man. At the Strawberry Fields, let me guess, is it more like would there be Ferris wheels and rides, or is it just all about eating and entertainment?
They got a little bit of both. They have I remember they had this what's the name of the wheel where it's not like a Ferris wheel, but it's like you go inside the wheel, it's like a giant wall. You stay on the wall and it spins like crazy.
Oh yeah, those are awesome. Where I'm from, because every ride has their own name.
Yeah.
Like the Cyclone or something that had the word 3000 in it. I know what you mean. All you do is stand, and the G-force just makes you just stand there.
Yeah, and you get like super lightheaded at the end.
Your face is stretched out when you come off.
Oh man, yeah.
It looks like you just took off in a space shuttle.
Oh man, I could only go. I remember I had my sister used to go on that from a lot of experiences on that. I couldn't get on that no more than once.
You can only ride it so many times.
So many times.
Roller coasters are the bomb, but that stuff uses legit G-force on you, it's spinning that fast.
Yeah.
If you were outside of it and you touched it, you'd fly.
Man.
If you tried to hang on to it.
You'd be gone. You'd be gone.
Yeah. Crazy, dude.
Really crazy.
Well, I gotta see the Strawberry Festival, Plant City. How far away is that from Orlando?
From Orlando, I say probably a good 2 to 3 hours away from here.
All right.
Yeah.
And you're saying it's a small town?
Small town. It's like you have Plant City, and the way it goes is it kind of morphs to another city, and you don't hit because usually you go from one city, you see the sign that pops up, hey, this is a welcome to so and so. It's more Plant City, and then you kind of wait a minute, where did we just go? Oh, you're in Lakeland now. Wait a minute, what?
I was just back at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before you know it, boom, you're in a whole different town, son.
Yeah, man. It's pretty crazy. I know Ray Lewis is from Lakeland because Kathleen High School.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he went to Kathleen.
Cool.
Yeah.
I my whole life I've grown up in small towns, and there's something to really appreciate when it comes to, I think, not even just, I was almost gonna say the country, but I think everywhere there's just small towns, and you're your own community. I appreciate it. I like it.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, so Plant City, and you're up here in Orlando, and you're a Full Sail student. What major are you in?
What major I'm in? I'm recording arts, man.
Recording arts.
Yeah.
Have you ever worked with studios before?
I've had a little bit of experience with studios. Not professional studios, but probably home studios where everybody already has their stuff there, but it's not up there on certain level.
Yeah.
But it's it's kind of getting there, But yeah, that's as high as it gets with my experience levels when it comes to that.
So out of all the majors that you could pick from Full Sail, why RA?
Well, it's with RA. I actually got a scholarship for recording arts.
Oh yeah.
Scholarship. I remember I had a friend of mine that was used to live by in Lakeland, and they actually worked at Full Sail for a little bit, and my mom had hooked me up, had a hookup yo, we gotta try and get you scholarship money, because college ain't cheap,
Yeah, no kidding.
So we talked and got the hookup from her on top of some other monies from being here in Florida. They hooked me up with certain scholarships. One of them being the Florida Fast Future, something like that. Sounds something like that. But they hooked me up with a scholarship from that, and they added on with the other scholarship on why I want to come to Full Sail. You know, and recording arts was a scholarship they offered to me, and I'm like, yeah, and also on top of that too, I remember, because like Full Sail is kind of like a continuation of building thing. I remember I was like 10 years old, and my sister wanted to come to Full Sail, and it was before they built everything else around the campus, and so
it was still starting up.
Yeah. It was probably like 2005, 2004.
Okay.
And for my sister, you know, at the time, she wanted to look at Full Sail, and I'm going around these buildings. I see the drums mic'd up. I see the studio. They had this I saw a grand piano that was professionally mic'd. I'm like, yo, I gotta be
professional status.
Yeah. And foolishly enough, I was just like, I was telling students that were already here at Full Sail, I was like, I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna see you in like 10 years, but not thinking, you know, I wasn't really thinking like, hey, I would see them in 10 years from now, because you know they're already graduated from now. Right. I was like, I'm gonna be here, and so it just so happened that
just called your name, right?
Yeah, I was like, dog.
Well, that and the scholarships, I'm sure, really gave you the good option. So congratulations on that. That's awesome.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Well, I know recording arts is a blast. They, if you're in the audio program, they regardless make you go through a class, and I had a lot of fun miking up a guitar and the little cajon sessions. Like, it's a lot of fun, especially what you hear and what you can do.
Yeah.
Now I know how the artists do it. It's a lot of fun.
It really is, man.
So, producing for 10 years, and so far, you are the most popular person I have on the show yet. Like, your social status is pretty flaming right now. Can you mind telling me a little bit? You know, how did you get that started? Where did Kaelin Ellis' name come from and go from?
Well, it's a weird thing, because like at the very beginning of me, like, you know, putting my stuff on the internet, I remember I started off. I really wouldn't suggest anybody looking it up, but there's the old YouTube channel out there that's called 5K Pro. And 5K Pro was really like a family type thing, because like I'm really huge about my family, you know.
Family's everything.
Oh yeah, 5Ks, because my whole family has like 5Ks, right? And so I was like 1K, 2, and my dad, you know, so like 5K. I'm like, okay, 5K Productions. So
5K is in like their name starts with K? Or?
Yeah, all of our names starts with K. So it's
no way.
Yeah, it's like you got Kaelin, you got Kiera, Carrie, Catherine, Kendria.
Wow.
Yeah, all of us are.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's
I've never heard a family do that. Like, was it like an on purpose thing, or was that like a coincidence?
It was. I really feel like it turned into a coincidence after a while.
Okay.
Yeah, like, because they're all like, wait a minute, let's just keep this going.
Why not, man? It's gonna look great on the initial board. Let's do it.
Oh yeah, and it went from 5K Pro to Mr. Mockwell. I remember I did a tape with a guy named Tooney Tunes. I met him on the internet, and I was like probably like 12, 11 years old, and I was just making a whole bunch of tracks. And I got hooked up on this little collective called Loaf Lab. Loaf Lab was kind of like a mixture, and that's how I met K Tronada too, because K Tronada was on Loaf Lab, and I'm like, seeing how big he is, like, dog, we came from a small little thing on YouTube, because
Right.
It wasn't like we were like touring and playing shows. It was like we're just uploading beats on YouTube, and it got to the point where like I would check out these guys, and I thought they made it because they already had like thousands of views on their YouTube channel. So what I started doing was I started like copying what they were doing, and I didn't even have a sound. I wasn't even making any music. I was
just like, wow, these guys were really doing this.
Man, I looked up to those guys like crazy, because being a little kid, you're like, wait a minute, I'm trying to do what they do, you know?
Yeah.
So it was. I remember it ran into that. It was Mr. Mockwell, Construct, that started with a K2. TCA, the creative aspect, and then eventually it got to the point where I'm like, I got all these names, but I used to like show people my stuff, and they're like, "Is that really you or not?" you know. And I'm like, you know what? Forget it. And eventually, I just like scrapped all the names. I'm like, I'm just going as my first and last name. So,
which I see it as like I see it as the professional route too. Like
yeah,
just addresses that, no stage names or anything. It's like nope, it's all in the birth certificate. It's on paper. That's me.
Sticking with it.
Is there any other Kaelin Ellis out there that have gotten in the way when it comes to like looking you up and such?
No, not that I know of right now. I've actually met. Crazy thing is, I actually met a Kaelin Ellis that's like a Alaskan student. He's in Alaska, and he hit me up on my Facebook page. He was like repping for the Kaelin Ellis everywhere, and I'm like, oh,
hey,
I'm
my little brother.
Yeah,
all right.
It was crazy. What's kind of funny is he looked like a 16-year-old Matthew McConaughey. So I was like, I'm like, Kaelin, in the same spelling, same last name.
Really?
But it was crazy. It was pretty crazy.
Oh, Matthew McConaughey's offspring, I guess, is a really special person. Then.
Oh yeah.
Way to go, Kaelin Ellis.
Yeah.
Cool, dude.
Yeah.
Huh, so you just put stuff on the internet, and people were just picking it up left and right, and then you were just meeting people who had bigger titles bigger than other people.
Yeah.
Did they just spread your stuff all around? Or?
Yeah, it was because one thing we used to do is because that's when I started meeting up with guys that I idolized at a particular point in my life when I was like probably 13. It was 3 guys. It was K Trinata, Tech, and another dude named Munoz. And Munoz, same age as me. I think he's a little older than me. But those guys, Tech Lund and K Trinata, they're on the label that I'm affiliated with at the moment. And I remember we used to do like beat battles. So I remember there'd be a K Trinata and Tech Lund beat battle. It was always going down every Friday.
It was just beats?
It was just beats, and then like it would be like one person would call somebody out in a beat battle. Let's say, for instance, K Trinata would call me out in a beat battle. Okay, he sent me a beat. I sent him a beat. We put the beats together and let the people who listen to our music just judge off of that. And that was back before YouTube used to take music down off of YouTube for copyright and all that.
It's also like fun though.
Oh yeah, it was all. I was always looking forward to coming home from school on a Friday just to upload a beat on YouTube.
So you would do it often. Then.
Often, man, as often as possible.
What website would you guys do that?
It was actually YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So it was like before YouTube got all bought out by Google and whatnot, and that's how it kind of started. And eventually I was like, I'm gonna drop a project. So all the beats that I would like try and use for a beat battle, I put into one project, and one project turned to the next, and guys would actually give me tips and pointers on how to like make certain tracks, and I would pick up by listening, and eventually it just progressed. So
okay, I'm really jealous. Like that's super cool. Like you just turn it into a game, but that's such a good way to like get your content out there. I wonder if people still do that today. You and him were just buddies, right? Like did he make up that game, or did you both?
It was because I know guys like I know guys that used to be all into beat battles, because beat battles used to be a really big thing back then, but now it's kind of like it's a little different now. We got there's a producer named Ninth Wonder, and Ninth Wonder has produced some of the biggest hip hop hits over the past 10 years, besides Pete Rock and another guy named Jay Dilla, God rest his soul. And if you have a track that sounds as hard hitting as Ninth Wonder's track, you're gonna win the beat battle. It's not like a producer's creativity. The more creative you are, that means you possibly might win the beat battle, but it's not the same anymore. It's kind of like what goes harder the most and sounds like this person, they win, and that's kind of like what it was. And I remember what was it? It was a thing called Red Bull Beat Battle. They used to legit have contests all across the United States. It was Chicago, Los Angeles. I remember Los Angeles was the final place that you could get, and all you had to do is make beats for a whole entire week. You play them in front of people. It's just you and that person.
Wow. That sounds like a lot of fun. But I bet tons of people did it too. All you had to do, I guess, the fact that it's on an on-tour thing, that's neat. Do you still contribute into these beat battles today, or you got your hands full?
My stance on beat battles now is a little. I don't really contribute that because I'm more of a person that just likes the creativity of a lot of different music producers now. Like I try to feed the creativity from other people and how I can absorb from other people too. So it's more like it went from being creative to more of a contest, rather than just saying, oh, let's just enjoy the music. It's like, oh, I want to get that dollar. Get out my way. So even though that was like the main thing of the contest, it wasn't about the music anymore. So I don't really go for the whole beat battle thing anymore.
Hey, respect that. I got you. Okay, very neat.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to contribution, you're a big key in that. Like you love collaborating with people, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Are you collaborating with anybody right now at the moment?
I am definitely collaborating with a lot of people. I'm actually trying to get in collaboration connections with what you call it. I can't say his name. I don't know as I'm trying to get in context with this person. I'm working with another guy, Urkel Hansen.
Urkel Hansen, yeah.
Oh yeah, he's been playing a huge part in my development here. And I'm also collaborating with Kast Organism. I've worked with a decent amount of people right now, and this whole experimental thing on my SoundCloud. I'm trying to work with another guy named Harris Cole, and he's also going to be performing at the Euphoria Fest. Well, I'm trying to collaborate with him, work with him at the moment.
Is it hard to get in contact with these guys?
A lot of these guys, it really depends on which day you catch them on. Because sometimes, they're really busy with their work. A lot of guys, touring and whatnot. But yeah, they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool to hit up every so often, especially on a good day. Like, can't hit them up on like a Tuesday or something like that,
So when they're around their computer, I guess is okay. I got it there.
Yeah.
Huh, interesting. And what is the main reason that you want to collaborate with these type of guys? Is just like you think they'd be a good collaboration with your ideas, or are they actually in the same area as you, like genre?
Yeah, it's like. Because, like, the way I collaborate with people, it's more of based on similar vibes. And if we have the similar vibes, then, hey, it's like the work is easy.
Yeah, you can make magic like that.
Yeah, like, I remember I was hanging with Urkel Hansen one day, and, like, I remember he was messing with the vocoder. And the weird thing is, I don't really, like, check out music for face value. I usually look into whatever I'm like, working with, and he had used a part in the vocoder. I'm like, wait a minute, this is dope. And so he played the chorus, and I was like, wait a minute. And so I kind of treat it like a jam session every time I
you were
collaborate.
Seeing what he had.
Yeah. And so when he started creating something, it made me think of certain things. Like, wait a minute, let me try this little idea out, and we laid it out, and turned out to be pretty freaking dope. Because it was like a pretty dope connection, especially with collaborating.
Well, jams are always fun, especially like when I'm jamming. I always try to figure out maybe this could be a song, because this sounds really good. I like it. It's fun playing. Maybe this could actually be something.
Oh yeah.
So I can relate to that. I know what you're talking about. So let's talk about content. You were talking about your SoundCloud about a minute ago. How much stuff are we talking when it comes to SoundCloud? How much stuff is on there?
I'd have to say probably about 50 tracks deep right now.
50 tracks.
50 tracks deep, not including that Dust to Ashes mix I had made. Not including that. That's like just 20 minutes straight,
Yeah.
But like it's probably 50 tracks.
Is that Ashes? Is that like one song, or is that multiple pieces into a?
Yeah, it's like a weird compilation of music that I had created over the course of like 2015, 2014, and I kind of like worked on ideas, and I was like, maybe I should finish this or just leave it as is. And I'm still working on those ideas too. But yeah, it's just like a weird compilation mixtape put into a mix. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll definitely have to give that a listen. I'm sure other people would love to hear that out. Like, on that type of stuff, what is like the one thing you're proud of? Like, I guess maybe I'm trying to what track you really proud of that you did?
One track, cause it's kind of difficult because I have my own kind of like special moments with each track, cause like each track to me is kind of like a if I could freeze frame a moment within a certain part of my life, and I could just put it into a track, it's kind of like it just stands out for me, you know. Like what was it? I remember I did this collaboration with a singer named Taylu. I had met her on Twitter. I remember I had put out a PSA like, hey, I any singers out there, and a guy that I think she knows smokes. Don't quote me accurately on that, but
Okay.
he had a Twitter and he tagged her and he was like, hey, he's looking for a singer. I remember she had hit me up and like she started sending me like vocal pieces of a song that was already made, but I
Did she have what she was looking, or what you were looking for?
Oh man, she had it. I'm like, yo. So I remember I had took her vocals and I put it with the track that I was already working on. It wasn't even fully developed yet. It was just the idea, the chords, and then I started adding more drums to it. And I was like, man, I really like this. And so I was like, I hope she digs this. So I sent it back to her and she loved it. So I'm like, I'm gonna try and continue to work on it.
She fit the part. Huh?
She fit the part, and I'm like, man, her and another girl by the name, not girl, woman, woman by the name of Lexus. She's awesome, off the chain singer. Like literally, she'll put you in your emotions. Like you could just be sitting, you could be sitting watching a movie. And all of a sudden, her track comes on. You just, where did this emotion come from?
You just
like,
want to start bawling.
Oh man, yeah. It's like it's crazy.
It's pretty powerful. I know Adele does that to me sometimes.
Oh, for real?
she's got some feeling behind her.
Oh yeah.
She could lead a movement with that voice.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right, so vocals, those women's vocals, like that, was that like that's a big major key to you?
Oh
that's what really made you appreciate the work you did.
Yeah, it's like if you can get, cause the way I have my ideas set up, if I can get somebody else to like like if I can, cause like I vibe off of ideas, and what's weird is with the ideas is it usually fits the bill every time. Like and like it's not like you collaborate with somebody who's like maybe the next take, but it's like every time, and that's this kind of creative process, It's
pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Would you say that are you getting lucky with this type of findings, or just to not put yourself in a bragging way? Because I'm sure you're not the glitter type, but you just you can warp things, you can shape them.
Yeah, it's like it's always never looking at music where it's at its face value. Always looking at it from a different context. Like
thinking outside the box.
Thinking outside of the box. How could I make it a little more? How can I stretch this out to make it sound different than the original? Yeah. And so that's what stands out to me.
Well, that's pretty cool. Huh. So if I gave you any type of piece, you could really flip it upside down.
I vibe off the creativity, because like it's weird with the process that I have, because like it goes on a continuous flow. Like I could hear something and I'll just mess around, stretch it, make it sound weird,
Hence experimenting with
experimenting. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm pretty keen on that. That's pretty neat. Now I got news that you actually have a gig. You're actually going to play live here soon. Is that true?
Yeah, that is true.
You want to give us little details about that?
South by Southwest. It's going to be at the Ethics Music Lounge. And I haven't had a set time yet, but it's going to be probably around 2 p.m. on down. So
When is it?
It's April 14th. Not April 14th. This month. This month.
This month, the 14th.
On the 14th.
March
yeah.
14th.
March
Okay,
14th.
cool. So how do you play live? I know you're a producer. How do you exactly perform live?
Well, the way I perform live is because like everybody else, they have their their own unique setup with performing. You have guys that DJ and mix and mash stuff. I kind of do a little bit of. I'm kind of dabbling a little more into both worlds by not only just like taking pieces of like songs that I feel like have a good tone, and I'll like try something out with another track. And so I decided like, hey, I'll maybe this fits. And so each track I wanted to be like a totally completely different experience listening wise. So drums that you hear particularly from a remix or any original track of mine is probably going to be somewhere in the middle of a completely different song. Like it's weird. It's like a weird mashup type process, and it's different every time. So
every performance is going to be different.
Oh,
what
yeah.
You're saying.
Yeah.
Wow, it's pretty extraordinary. A lot of artists will just cover their same stuff and just, move on with the next set list. But you're telling me that every song that you're going to do on stage probably won't hear it the same in the next week or whatever you perform again.
Oh yeah, because I'm always experimenting and trying to find something new. It's never like I stay stagnated in one particular sound. It's like I remember I had a teacher of mine show me Radiohead when I was like in middle school, and
Great band.
Oh man, I remember I heard Kid A. That whole album was completely life-changing.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing, dude.
So,
it just took you somewhere.
Yeah, and like each track was a little different. Everything in its right place sounded completely different than the last track on the album. So I'm like, yo, I want to be able to make it like, like a random type. Like, it's kind of like taking a random button and hitting it multiple times and seeing what comes out.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like different. It's pretty cool. I would love to see that sometime.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, where is and where are you playing again at?
Ethics Music Lounge at South by Southwest.
Okay, cool, dude.
Yeah.
Well, if you're in the area, definitely go see Kaelin. It's gonna be worth the show, I see, especially since it'll be a one-time show every single time. It's pretty cool.
Word.
So, back to the collab ideas, and you're saying hoping that you just catch them at the right day at the right time.
Yeah.
Who? Maybe you've already said it, but who do you really want to like make something with? Who is somebody you look out there? It could be anybody, dead or alive. Someone that you would just love to make a piece with.
What's her name? I've always wanted to collaborate with. Well, I think her name is Sade. Sadie, Sade. Always wanted to collaborate with her. Ever since I heard Smooth Operator when I was like little, and it was on the Smooth Jazz station, I was like, who is she?
I want all her albums right now. Who is she?
Who is she, man? I was hooked at a young age, and I've always wanted to collaborate with a vocalist like her.
What exactly does she bring to the table that that you just really fell in love with?
She brings this element to where it's kind of like, because there's a certain verse that I know in the Bible that talks about music soothes a savage beast, and it was kind of like every time I heard her voice and she sung, I could not help but just chill, just like so relaxed, man. Like, and thing is, she would get you in a mood to the point where like it was kind of like mesmerizing. And so if I can like collaborate with her one day, that would be so dope.
Sounds like she can sell some pretty impressive stuff then, if it just memorizes you. First you got yourself bawling, but then this girl can just put you under.
Oh man. she got everybody.
Wow. All right, neat. Okay, cool. Well, how old are you, Kaelin?
I am 18 years old.
18 years old, and you're at Full Sail trying to be in the recording arts. What are the challenges that are coming through of trying to get into this recording business?
I believe probably the only challenge that coming into Full Sail facing is I wouldn't say learning the system. It's more of a fact of keeping a certain level of consistency. Keeping consistency at pretty much every level, not just creating music. It's more across like the business line as well too.
You can make music all day, but you still need to learn about how to even run it, right?
Oh yeah. Every day is a learning process for me, man.
Okay.
Still learning those aspects. Matter of fact, I actually thought I had learned everything I knew what it was to learn about Pro Tools.
Uh-huh.
And then we went through the class, and I'm like, man, there's so much I did not know.
Yeah, Pro Tools is pretty challenging, but it is interesting because there's a whole lot more that I think you can do with Pro Tools than Logic.
Oh yeah.
And for people who don't know, that those are both programs where you can basically just write music on.
Definitely.
But Pro Tools does a whole lot more than Logic out of that. And there's also Ableton, which I know that you're really familiar with it. Excuse me, with Ableton, right?
Yeah. Ableton is that's like my second go-to software to always use. It doesn't matter if I'm actually working on a track or if I have like a certain sound idea. I just mess around and mutate on there. Ableton is my go-to option.
Did your dad bring you up on these programs, or did you find them yourself?
Yeah. Well, I remember my dad had hooked me up first because the program I use now is Acid Music Studio 10. And
Acid Music, I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it's a program by Sony, and Sony has like all these different programs where like, because I know they have other programs like Sony Vegas and Sony I think it's SoundForge as a music mastering suite. I've been using their programs for years, and it kind of like started from Jam Tracks because that was the first official like kiddie program for like any Sony Acid users, and eventually went from that to like a pre-version of Ableton, and Ableton got better and better, and kind of like I just followed it after a while.
Would you say that Acid is a stepping stone to things like Logic and Pro Tools?
Yeah, it's like if I could say how it is, it's pretty much just straight loop based. But eventually, over time, they's like, you know what? Let's just add some plugins. Let's give them some effects. Let's give more options to be able to do anything musically speaking within a program. And Acid pretty much fits the bill.
Okay, cool. I never heard of Acid.
Yeah.
Is that only for an Apple, or can you get that for also PC?
At
Microsoft, whatever.
At this particular moment, I don't know if you can actually get it for a MacBook. I've been trying to see if I can use it for the MacBook, but I know it's strictly for Windows for right now.
Okay, all right. So I got it backwards. Okay, neat. How long does it take for somebody to get used to these programs?
Man,
maybe would you qualify yourself as a pretty fluent? I mean, me, I'm still trying to get these programs down, and they are a handful.
Yeah.
Like, how long does it take to get acquainted with these type of tools?
Well, it really depends on your own creativity. I know with certain people, Ableton is the best software to use because if you want to lay down an idea, it's literally like right there. But with Acid, it was kind of like I used to just come home from school every day, and I used to just click on it and literally learn each part. Like I'd be like, wait a minute, so that did this? Okay. And sometimes like
you went through the whole books.
Yeah, I would literally go through the manual and just like check it out. But it was kind of like an everyday process, and still to this day, I am still learning the program because there's still some functions on the keyboard, and I hit it every time, and I don't even know what I just did. Like,
just accidentally hit. Oh, hold on, that sounded better. I'm gonna hit undo, and I'm gonna hit redo. What did I do?
Yeah. It's it's a little weird every time. It's a little something different.
I see. All right. Well, let's talk about content, if you don't mind me asking. Besides SoundCloud, what else do you have out there?
At this particular moment, I have a few albums on iTunes and Google Play. They came out a couple of years back. I'd say around 2012 and 2013. It was and that was back when I was going before Kaelin Ellis. It was Mr. Mockwell, and it was Preflamella, and it was those two official albums. Then I had a few other ones that were with a label collective called Collective Resonance, and it was Rhythm Bass Volume 1, Rhythm Bass Volume 2, Volume 3. And so it was kind of like a continuing process, because beforehand I actually created, and it's kind of weird, I created 3 rhythm bass albums, but one is a part 1, one is a part 2, but they were as a totally completely different name. I was under a name called Construct.
Right.
And then the third one had 2 parts. And so like I was working on one part, and I was like, wait a minute, and that's when I learned from Kazal and all these other guys, like sound-wise, and I was like, man, I got to get on where they're at, and that's why I created 2 parts. It was kind of like a weird growth type thing with those albums. And on top of that, too, after I made the second part of Rhythm Bass, part 3, I had created another album on top of that. So it's just like multiple content on multiple content. And it was just like I have like all this music, so yeah.
So you have a lot of stuff out there then.
I have a lot.
Where can I find these volumes exactly? I mean, are they on the YouTubes or?
Yeah, they are definitely on YouTube. I had uploaded it from my YouTube channel, Kaelin Ellis.
Okay.
And it's straight probably 30 to 40 minute long beat tapes / albums. So. Now, they're not quality-wise, they're not there.
Oh.
I mean, they're probably going to be like, you're probably going to hear like one track, yeah, it sounds tight, but the other ones are just like quality-wise, just down.
Do you roll on Spotify or iTunes at all?
Spotify, iTunes, yeah. I'm actually working on a new EP that should be coming out, I believe, later on this month. So... yeah, it should be coming out on Spotify.
So something we can look forward to other than your live performance.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man. I can't wait to check that out. I just thought of a question here, because you're playing live here in a week or less,
mm-hmm.
and I want to know, how often does Kaelin Ellis get to perform live? How many places know about you?
How many places? Man. I would probably say probably a decent amount of people, decent amount of places, they know about me. But as far as doing live shows, this is actually a first for me. I mean, I've played in front of people. I'm well comfortable performing in front of people,
I figured it wasn't your first rodeo.
Yeah, it was, because what's crazy is I've been playing drums in church, because I was a church musician. I've been playing drums in church for like 12, 13 years since I was 4. And so it was kind of like I got used to just playing and seeing people right there. It was more like I got used to it. So, it's a different type of beginning, but it's kind of like the same thing.
You're looking forward to it, and you sound confident for it too, which is what you need to get on stage.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to worry about butterflies, right?
Yeah, it's weird, because like I'll get like a little jitter, then as soon as I start, I just...
oh, you get right into your flow.
Right into the flow.
So the first time that you performed in front of people, you were playing the drums?
Yeah, it was a talent show back in 6th grade, and that's when I remember my dad had took the day off and got my whole drum set. It was a Gibraltar rack first stack drum set.
Ah.
It had 4 cymbals, and we had the hi-hat all set up. Everything was there. It was in the gymnasium. And I remember the show didn't even start yet. I remember I just got on my drums and just started playing. My dad was like, "Get off the drums." Get off the drums. I was like, "What? I'm playing." He was like, "Yo, let the show start first." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So
my first drum set was actually a first stack too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
man.
I was ironically, it was in 6th grade too. That's when I started getting into percussion.
Oh, wow.
I saw my cousin play the drums once on his home set, and I was like, "Where did you learn how to do that?" And he's like, "Grandpa taught us." And I was like, "Grandpa, you gotta hook me up." But family stuff got in the way, so I never really got to get on. I never got like sessions from him.
Oh, wow.
But I told my parents, I was like, "Hey, I want to play the drums." Like, my mom was going through this thing where like every one of my siblings, we had to play a sport and we had to learn an instrument. And I already had my instrument picked out.
Yeah.
And it started out with the simple, just one snare drum, getting your paradiddles and your rolls down. And then it moved to xylophone. And I was like, okay, this is cool, but I want to learn how to play a set. When I would go to my drum teacher's place, he would have a drum set over there. And I'm over here learning the scales on a xylophone, which, not crapping on the xylophone, but I was like, I want to learn that.
I want to learn that. Yeah.
And I remember, and he like moved different locations every time because his store was getting bigger and better.
Yeah.
Selling drum equipment, and then like we finally learned all the scales, like all 12 scales. And then he's like, "Oh, okay, that's about everything I can teach you when it comes to xylophone. Hey, you want to play the drum set?" I was like, "I'll be honest with you, that was the first thing I wanted to learn about a year ago when you put me on here." And he was like, "Oh, well, hell, let's get on it. Let's drop right away." And finally, I got to learn my basics. And when I told them that, "Hey, I'm actually learning how to play the drum set," like they got me a drum set. I believe it was for either my birthday or Christmas, but it was a first stack drum set. I remember it was like black and white with stars on it.
Oh, really?
Like the stars were like grayish. It had a really cheap and kiddie design, but I didn't care. Today, comparing it to my drum set, it was a piece of crap. The cymbals were just like sounded like can opener lids.
Man.
But I had a blast, and I was learning my way. And then my dad was like, "Let me try it." And I went into the kitchen to get something, and I come back, and I can see on my dad's face something's not right.
Yeah.
Dude busted the head of the bass drum with the bass drum mallet.
Oh my
He
god!
went so hard on the bass drum. I was like, I didn't think that was supposed to happen. And then we looked it up. First act is cheap, real cheap.
Oh yeah.
That's why I guess the word first act is
first act.
Everybody's guitar or violin has to have first act on it.
Oh man, yeah. What's crazy is the biggest secret with first act is they use like cheapest of cheap. So my dad figured out the best way to do it is take all the heads, all the cymbals, replace it all. So
the frame's the only thing that's worth it.
Frames, if you want to get a little creative with it, you could take the frames and repaint them, change them up however you want it to look.
Sounds like to me, just don't buy a first act set.
Just don't buy a first act set.
Just stay away from first act.
But if you do want to start out,
I recommend that. If you got a kid or a nephew or just somebody and if you're able to do it, get them like $100 drum set.
Oh,
or
yeah.
$100 guitar. Let them start out on something. If it breaks, which I think it is going to, at the end of it, no harm really done. But that's just to give him a good GIF.
Yeah.
My last person on here, Carlos, his parents got him like a little guitar when he was learning how to. It ran on batteries.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But you have to start somewhere with your little equipment.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, we got a little bit of time left before we sign off, and I think I got one more question here for you, which, by the way, congratulations on for the performance. I may be able to attend. If not, congratulations.
Word.
But I think one more question before we sign off. What are some advice that you could, give to people that are listening out there? Maybe people that are trying to get into producing game.
Well, I would definitely say, don't copy to try and get attention. Never copy for it, because that
Copy as another artist.
Yeah, like copying, and there's a difference between like copying and like being influenced by a certain artist. Like this particular age, you know, I'm noticing that history really repeats itself, because I remember at one particular time, Jay Dilla was making music before he passed away in 2006. Back in February, he passed away in February. He created like a certain element of music where he wanted to put his feelings into hip hop beats, and at the time, nobody was really doing that with beats. And after he passed away, there was a lot of people that would legit just jack his sounds, and it went from Jay Dilla to Flying Lotus years later, and I know people that copied him, but eventually they eventually got to their own sound, and just what I would say is listen to who you like, but if you try and do your own thing, don't listen to anything at all. Because like, if you have your influences, you build up your influences, but you don't listen to the track per se, it opens up a completely different aspect within creating music. That's when you start to discover different styles that are suitable for you, and that's eventually when you find your sound. But as for saying guys who just straight up jack people's sounds, because there's a lot of jacksters out there.
There's a lot of Skeletor hackers out
Hackers,
there.
yeah.
Hackers.
Hacking, Mr. Hacker down the street.
Mr. Hack down the street.
yeah. There's a lot of them, but just be influenced, stay creative, and yeah, just staying. And thing is, don't get too comfortable. Complacency is never a good thing. So,
right.
Yeah, that's the advice I give.
All right. Well, Kaelin, thank you, man. That's awesome. I'm sure that's gonna go real far in the ears of the others, man. Thank you very much for being on the show, Kaelin.
Word, it's a blessing.
All right. Well, that was KirbKast. I appreciate you guys listening in. Kaelin Ellis's new content will be out soon. Check out his SoundCloud, his YouTube. I'll put all that in the link in the description. Congratulations again for the live performance, and I hope everything goes well, man. All right?
For sure.
All right. Thanks for coming, and thank you for tuning in. This is Kirby signing off.